We're going to make chicken biscuits. It sounds really easy, but I'm going to show you a few techniques that'll up your chicken game. And the secrets I'm going to share with you are good for any kind of chicken. Bone in, bone out, whole part. We're going to fry some chicken. We're going to learn how to make a crispy, crunchy crust on chicken. Chicken biscuits. Biscuits. Alright, everybody wants to know the secret to really good fried chicken. The secret is patience. It takes 2 days. So we're going to soak it in buttermilk, herbs, and spices today. Tomorrow we'll bread it and fry it. So sage is one of your most important spices for chicken. It gives it that real chicken flavor. So we're going to do 2 tablespoons of sage. I got a tablespoon of chives, a tablespoon of rosemary, a tablespoon of thyme, all chopped up really good and fine. Got 5 medium cloves of garlic. It's because I like garlic. You can go less, you can go more. We got about 1.5 pounds of chicken. We got buttermilk. We got an egg. We got a bowl to mix it all in. So let's get mixing. Everything into our bowl. Sage, rosemary, chives, thyme. Really scrape that board. Alright, then the big trick here is we're actually going to use a microplane for our garlic. So just going to grate it down. And what you're going to get on the other side is this nice minced, shredded up, almost paste. Alright, so now we will cut our chicken. Notice I'm going to cut it right on that cutting board. That'll pick up any of those spices that we missed because our knives weren't that great. This is going to be chicken for chicken biscuits. So I'm going to cut it fairly thin on a diagonal. I'm cutting it thin because that'll help it cook a lot faster. So cut it nice and thin on a bias like that. And that'll also help to make sure it's kind of close to biscuit size. And of course with chicken, the other thing you can do to make it cook faster and get them even maybe a little wider is to cover them with plastic wrap and wail on them with a meat tenderizer. Now you'll also notice no more herbs left on the board. They're on that first piece of chicken. Okay. That's done. Let's wash our hands real quick. You want an egg, crack it on a flat surface. You crack it on the edge and the edge of a bowl, and whatever's on the outside of the shell can get into your egg. Just beat that egg a little bit and into the bowl. About 2 cups of buttermilk. And we'll give that a nice stir. Look at all those herbs. A lot of herbs. And now in goes our chicken. Just put a few in, mix them around, make sure they all get down into that. Now here's your important thing. You know you have enough herbs when you pull it out and it's sticking to the chicken like that. That's flavor, nothing but flavor. If you think you got too many herbs, you probably don't. Now I'm going to grab one of these shower cap bowl covers. Throw that over there, put it in the fridge overnight, and what's going to happen is the essential oils from those herbs are going to mix with the buttermilk. They're going to get into that chicken. The buttermilk is going to enzymatically soften that chicken up. It's going to tenderize it. It's just the acids that are in that buttermilk. And it's going to bring a whole lot of flavor to the party tomorrow. Biscuits. Key for biscuits is to keep the dough cold. So we're going to start with 2 1/2 cups of flour, 2 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, teaspoon of salt. I use the fine grind for this because it's baking and kosher is acceptable, but I like the fine grind better. And a 1/4 cup of sugar. the butter, we're going to do a full cup of butter. Just a lot of butter. Keep it chilled until the last possible minute. And the best way to incorporate the butter, the only way to me, if you're not going to use a food processor, cheese grater. And what I do is, it's about two sticks of butter as a cup, but I just shave it down to where my hand is starting to make it a little bit warm, and I stop and switch to another stick. Take your spatula and kind of stir it around in there and start incorporating it. Don't mash it together into a lump. That can happen. And then on to the next stick. And because you put so much butter in them, you won't need any butter on them when they're done. And this is one of those things, doughs, you usually want to move fairly fast. Heat and time is your enemy right now. And you can see where that butter is starting to stick to me because it's melting just from the heat of my hand. So again, I use 2.5 sticks because I get down to about here, and that quarter of a stick is just, it's starting to melt, and I just save it, rewrap it, move on to the next stick. What's going to happen is you put it in the oven cold, and the oven is going to take the temperature of the butter from melting to straight steam, and the steam of the butter is going to be what gives it that lift. So we're going to do 1¾ of a cup of buttermilk. Incorporate that. Keep this going until you got a shaggy dough. So you see how it's kind of coming together, but it's kind of, you see the little loose pieces. So that right there is a very shaggy dough right there. Okay. You see how it's nice and crumbly? That's a shaggy dough right there. That goes in the refrigerator for 10 minutes or so. While I'm getting that ready, out comes the chicken that we soaked last night. Okay. So here's the chicken that we soaked last night. There's going to be a lot of hand rinsing here. This part is a little bit messy. Our flour, we're going to bread this. It's always good to make way too much flour than it is to make not enough flour. So we're going to go with, 3 cups of flour. So for each cup of flour, we'll do 1 tablespoon of garlic, 1 tablespoon of black pepper, coarse ground. So it's going to be 3 teaspoons. We'll do a little paprika. Paprika will help get you that brown crust, that pretty brown crust that we're looking for. And 2. Over here in this container, this is the herb salt that we made previous video. And we're going to give it 1, 2, 3. And then we get our hands dirty. And that's beautiful. You see how it's kind of like a little pinkish? That means we got just enough paprika in there to get that crust on chicken. A lot of people want to take this out and shake it off. Don't do that. Toss it right in there. And what's going to happen is the buttermilk is going to join with that flour, and it's going to make it almost like batter dipped instead of just flour coated. And batter will always give you a bigger, crispier crunch. And to the point that you can actually just take a handful of that buttermilk, just grab you a little bit and just drizzle it right straight in there. And what that's going to do is it's going to combine with that flour and make these big chunky pieces, and that's what's going to give you that crunch. That's that flavor. So keep those herbs, even dredge in there and pull them out. And then we'll get the biscuits into the oven and we'll fry this as the biscuits are baking, and that way everything will come together. Okay, so we're setting up the pans for the biscuits and the chicken. And this is a real quick teachable moment in how to take care of the things that we're telling you to buy. One of them has been hand washed since the day I bought it. The other one, somebody let go through the dishwasher. That's caustic soaps that you use in the dishwasher eat that metal up. It's not even the coating on the metal, it's the metal itself. It's started to deteriorate the metal. So One of them is very nice and pretty. This one not so much. This will be my drain pan for my chicken. This will be for my biscuits. So 10 minutes later out of the refrigerator, and you can see by the texture of the dough that the buttermilk has actually soaked into that flour a little bit. It looks wet, and that's good. It's also really cold. That's even better. So we're going to dust our surface here and turn all this out. Now it's a question of working it together into a more cohesive mass. Making biscuits is such a headache because you have to do everything fast, loose, less control, and more just speed and get it done. In comes the rolling pin. When it comes to rolling pins, not really super preferential. I have a marble rolling pin because my son bought me a marble rolling pin. Now when you roll a biscuit out, there's something I've had to learn. Okay, biscuits rise, they move, but they don't rise like a cake does. Leave it thick. Like, this is about 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick. Perfect. We're gonna use a 2.5 inch biscuit round. Cut in there, give it a twist, pop it loose. Make sure to just let them touch, which is opposite of what you do for cookies or anything like that. And the reason being is that they do move, and if they move and they're touching each other, they can only move one direction, and that's up. So you'll get more height out of them if you make them touch. These are going to be absolutely beautiful. Move fast, don't let it get warm. And it's ugly, right? So guess whose that is? That's my biscuit. That one goes there. And into a 375-degree preheated oven, hot, for about 10-15 minutes. While I've been doing the biscuits, that chicken, that buttermilk has soaked up that flour, which is beautiful. That's what we want. So we're gonna give it a little bit more, kind of reapply that coat. Oh yeah, see, that's beautiful, sticky. And into my deep fryer. And my deep fryer is at 350. It's preheated. You don't have to have a deep fryer. You can do this in a pan with just some hot oil. I like the deep fryer though because I can set the temperature and I can fry a bunch more. So we cut it really thin, 3 to 6 minutes tops. Really looking for the color right now. All the work is done in the front. Right now I'm just standing and letting the food do its work. If you're unsure as to whether they are done or not, just take one and, oh yeah, it's done. Rip it open. When you take it out of the oil, give it a rest. Try not to mess with it except that one that you cut to see if it was done, because the flour and the coating isn't really adhered to that chicken just yet. It's steaming a little bit and it's going to separate the coating. So give it a rest. Once it hits a little bit of a room temperature closer to, it'll stick on there and it'll be really awesome. And once you've got the chicken out of the oil, what you can do is come back with that salt de Provence that we made and just hit it with it, a little sprinkle, more flavor. And these are beautiful. Look at those. It's nice and brown right there on the edges. But look at this. Look at those layers. Can you see that? Just quick in with the spatula. A couple of slices of nice cheddar cheese. Boom. Pow. And you can see the texture. See the texture inside the biscuit? It's still crumbling loose. It's not developed like a bread dough. That boy right there. Boom. More chicken than biscuit. And there you have it. Absolutely beautiful. and tasty. And I can't even tell you or describe the complexity of flavors in these biscuits and these chicken. Chicken, sage, the garlic, the salt, you taste it all. The chicken comes through, the sage and everything just makes that chicken pop, vibrant. The biscuits, you can taste the sweetness of the sugar, you can taste the salt, you can taste the butter, and just a little cheddar cheese to finish everything out and round it out. Absolutely beautiful, perfect, tasty. You'll never eat store-bought restaurant biscuits again. So there you go. Little technique, and you can take something as simple as chicken biscuits and elevate them, make them more special, give them a depth of flavor that people didn't know chicken biscuits could have. No matter how you spell it, they always turn out winners.